So, lads, Sid Coulson is essentially the last of the vets. The last of the vets, because it doesn't appear like Natasha Howard is like very much like vet presence, unless it's to Michaela Timpson. It doesn't seem like there's the most vet presence there with Natasha Howard. But Sid Coulson very much is the last of the real vets for this team. And today, Sid Coulson was talking about being a veteran presence for the Indiana Fever. And let's take a listen to what Sid Coulson said. Obviously, this is something from Ken Swift not too long ago. Let's take a listen.
There's been a lot of adversity really since the start of the season for us and since the start of the season for us. And so me and a lot of older players are just trying to keep people like composed.
Yeah. How do you establish discipline and maintain composure amidst all that?
That's not good to hear. Like, this was a team that is, I understand the adversity or injuries and stuff, but like, this is a team that was rolling. There were injuries last year, maybe not to Caitlin Clark, but unpopular opinion, Temmie's better than Sophie Cunningham. Temmie was out for a long time. Kelsey Mitchell showed up injured last year. Like, Dantas showed up injured. And we can't forget, those two players showed up injured last year. So there was a lot of adversity last year, and by this stage of the year, I don't think people were questioning the locker room. Or, like, people were questioning whether or not the vets needed to keep. We're talking about the adversity the team went through, which is tricky. But to be fair, they're very Caitlin-centric, so it's tough when Caitlin goes.
Adversity, because not only do you have the things on the court, but there's so much outside noise surrounding this franchise.
Yeah, I think for me, it's been like basketball is like a microcosm of life. And it's like whoever you are in moments of adversity is usually who you are outside of the court too. And so I try to not change who I am, and we try to tell the rest of the team, and that's what the coaches are trying to let us know. Like, adversity can suck sometimes, but it's also when you can get that grit that you need to come out of a group that maybe wasn't there before. You start to really see if you got the character, if you have the drive.
Like, I understand what they're saying, but like, this just reminds me of the old Stephanie White. Every single time anything happens, it's, this can be a learning experience. And I'm like, oh, she's saying the right thing. You don't want her to say anything else. You don't want her to say the sky's falling, but like, oh, the same 5 answers over and over again from Stephanie White weren't great. And it's the same thing from Sid Coulson. But at the end of the day, look, it's the answers you want your vets to be given. You want your vets to be voices in the locker room and leading the locker room.
And all of the other things that it takes to ultimately win a championship. And, we have a couple of people on our team who've been in championship environments. And so we know what it looks like, and we just got to keep, pushing in the same direction together and being energy givers and not take.
So yeah, it does. It seems like the Fever made a mistake that a lot of teams do, and like, I think Sid Coulson is as much of a vet as there is, and you can see with a lot of the things, and I genuinely hear Coulson being like, a lot of us have championship experience, talking about the locker room and like that the older players are trying to basically set those kind of locker room dynamics. And look, I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily with that, but we've seen from the Oklahoma City Thunder that there is merit to growing as a team. And I think the Indiana, if this is not a knock on, this is genuinely not a knock on the vets that are there. This is more a knock on the front office. I think that them going out of their way to like prioritize only vets is going to lead to, if not already led to, the downfall of this kind of locker room that they'd built. It was like they had built a legitimate like locker room, and they built a kind of camaraderie, and it seems like it doesn't even seem like through the fault of the players, but like, as much as great as Sid Coulson is, like, I have no doubt that Sid Coulson's a good locker room presence, but like, you can see from the outside that like it seems like the stuff is affecting the locker room this year. Like last year, everything obviously was talking about protect the locker room and all this stuff. And I think when it came to the Indiana Fever last year, I think they did a pretty decent job of protecting the locker room. And by pretty decent, I think they did a fantastic job of protecting the locker room, to be honest. I think they did an absolutely fantastic job. And I think that the locker room vets that were a big part of that, I think it's a tough one for a Sid Coulson to come in. And I think they've probably done a good job. I think it's a really tough one for a Sid Coulson to come in and not really knowing what is going on with the Indiana Fever, not really knowing what is going on with the vets on the field or with the locker room, and not really knowing exactly what to expect, and just thinking this is the same. This is just a normal championship locker room. This is what our championship locker room looked like. But at the end of the day, this is a locker room where you've got to. It's as important. The off the court stuff is as important as on the court. And like you're seeing now, DeWanna Bonner just crashing out on Instagram, for lack of a better word, a way of describing it. You're seeing her like whether she was right or wrong, and like I'm someone who has responded to people online, so sometimes it's hard not to, but like you're seeing her going mad at like YouTubers who are in her DMs, and like at the end of the day, I don't think people should be out there just sending her DMs, because like at the end of the day, it's my opinion that if you don't want to be here, then fuck off. Like I don't care. I don't care if you're not with us, you're against us. And at that stage, like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be complaining about players that are against us. Like, if you don't want to be here, go. Go. It's just a pity that she got exactly what she wanted, and the Fever organization weren't able to get some sort of value out of her. But at the end of the day, they have the contract to bring in a Valeriana Ayayi. They have the contract to bring in, potentially, a Mesa man if she wants to come over. I doubt she does, to be honest. She is a ring chaser. She is absolutely a ring chaser. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, I think Coulson in general gonna be a good vet for this team, a player that a lot of people are gonna want to play with. And look, while losing Erica Wheeler, you need a veteran presence like a Coulson. You very much do need a veteran presence like her, because I do think that she is this calming presence, and she's going to help this team out a lot in the long run. But to be honest, I think short term, I think it's a tough one, because I think Erica Wheeler, it took her a half a season to figure out all the stuff in the locker room and figure out how to be that locker room leader, figure out how to get this team together. It really took them till maybe June, July. And it is an interesting one. It is all around an interesting one about what the Fever did. And I do think it's very tough for these people trying to be leaders, not knowing really what to come in for. And I do think the Fever organization really did screw up this offseason. Really screwed up. But anyway, I'll see you guys.